We need great rail service and the work that it has done, and the tea gardens would not have prospered without railways or the mail. So this is a inclusive kind of an environment that we try to do. I'll not hold back much longer. I would like to also welcome Shri V.N. Mathur, our respected Chairman and President of the Rail Enthusiast Society, who was here when, as Secretary Railway Board, when Darjeeling Himalayan Railway got its investment in 1999. He's sitting there. Mr. Mathur. He retired as member of Traffic Railway Board, and we consider him the patriarch of railway heritage. So, welcome, Mr. Mathur. Am I seeing Mr. J.L. Singh, our secretary, who's been the force behind the Rail Enthusiast Society? And I'm sure he will explain what we do. He is an IRSME officer. He's taught in the generations of mechanical engineers in IRMI, and then he's done a large number of international projects with rights. And I need not hold back him. But before that, the Master of Ceremonies, Professor Joydev Datta of IIT Kanpur, who is our Vice President. I request Joydev, please take over, and we hope you enjoy this seminar. Just one thing, we are very happy to have the present Director DHR and other officials of DHR and NFR, as well as two of very loved ex-directors who did a lot for DHR. I am John. Local person in this region. I have grown up here. My mother was the chief matron of the railway hospital at Gulma. She retired in 2001, and it's a great pleasure for me to be having the honor of being Master of Ceremonies. So, just before I start the formal seminar, I just want to tell you a 2-minute or 1-minute story. So, the Railway Enthusiast Society has a series of lectures every month. And in one of them, last October, 16 October 2022, to be precise, I had delivered a talk called New Jalpaiguri Station Magnificent. It was about my childhood memories of New Jalpaiguri. Yesterday evening, I was just going through that talk, and I was surprised that a large part of the talk was actually about DHR. I was speaking more about DHR than about New Jalpaiguri. So such is the influence of my humble trip from New Jalpaiguri to Darjeeling, that it is among the 20 most exciting train journeys of the world, as listed by the International Rail Travelers Association. So, with this, I would ask Mr. J.L. Singh, our Honorable Secretary, to talk to you about what this society is all about, and also give a welcome address for this conference. J.L., would you kindly come in and take over? Also, thank you to Mr. Chandra Ghosh, who said more about me than I deserve. But thanks all the same. Anyway, now of the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, Rail Officer Nados, I esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen.
On behalf of the Railway Enthusiast Society, I'm very happy to welcome to the Tea, Tourism and Toy Train Seminar that you are now participating in. While the society has been organizing regular monthly talks and annual conferences, those events have all been virtual and they have been online. This is the first time that we have organized a similar event. And that on the important subject of the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway in a most picturesque locality, that of the TST. No event, especially a seminar of this nature, is possible without individuals and organizations that support and encourage. We have been fortunate to have with us the active support and backing of a number of such establishments whose members and representatives are available with us here today. I would like to especially welcome all of them. These include members of the Northeast Frontier Railway, especially its Katihar division and the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway itself. A very special welcome to the Mohurgong and Gulma tea estates who have been co-sponsors of this event. Also to Cinderella Hotel and towards my freedom officials. Of course, a very special salutation and welcome to the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway Society of the UK, who are not only supporting this event, but also actively participating in it. Among our organizing partners whom we welcome today are Mr. Concept Siliguri, who have looked after the event management, Hakka Fusion, also from Siliguri, organizing the food and beverages, Sugar Advertising in Kolkata for printing and displays, and Product Singha from Siliguri, who is providing transport and logistics. A wholehearted welcome to the staff of Gulma TSP, officials of the Northeast Frontier Railway. A special mention of welcome to the North Frontier Railway enthusiasts who have provided good quality assistance. Most seminar can be successful without knowledgeable and experienced speakers, and we have an area of speakers with us today. Leading them is Surendra Kumar, the Divisional Railway Manager of the Katihar Division, the division that includes the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway. Greeting and salutation to Mr. David Mead, Chairman of the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway Society of the UK. For those who are not physically with us, will be joining us from the UK virtually. Let us not forget Aditya Palchoudhuri, partner of Mohurgong and Gulma TSS, who will be addressing us today. Dr. Chandra Ghosh, Associate Professor in Science and Environment at the University of West Bengal, was to join us today, but is unable to do so for unavoidable reasons. In our place, Dr. Sumit Chakravarti, Professor and Head, Department of Forestry, Uttar Banga Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, Kuch Bihar, will be addressing us. It is indeed a pleasure to have you all with us today, and a thanks for sharing your views and thoughts with us. A significant number of distinguished persons have graced the occasion today. For them, I would like to mention only one, Mr. Paul Atkins of UNESCO, who has joined us today. Our invitees include DHR lovers, members of the tea industry, and respected citizens. Last but not the least, I would like to welcome members of the Rail Enthusiast Society and other rail fans who are with us for this event. I am confident that you will find this event and the proceeding meaningful, easy, and to your liking. As already mentioned, I would also like to tell you something about our society. We are not a very new society, having been incorporated on the 28th of December 2015. That makes us about 8 years old today. We are a society of rail enthusiasts, by rail enthusiasts, and for rail enthusiasts. The aims and objectives include inter alia to provide a platform for rail enthusiasts to disseminate knowledge, air their views, and exchange ideas regarding the railways in India and overseas, and to publish a quarterly magazine for all rail enthusiasts, whether you are a member of a society or not. I had earlier intended to come here by train and had intended to carry about 100, 150 copies of old magazines with me. But unfortunately, because of G20 in India, I was sure I want to reach the railway station. So I decided to come by air instead. And I brought only a handful of magazines. Some of which are lying on the table outside. A rail enthusiast is a person who has a sustained interest in the railways, in any or all its aspects. So the aspect could be as varied as rail photography, to rail modeling, to rail staff, to rail facilities, whatever. If you have a sustained interest in the railways, you are a rail enthusiast, and are welcome to join this society. Our President, Mr. Vinod Mathur, and Vice President, Mr. Darjeeling Himalayan have already been into this. In fact, it was in 2014 when the three of us in Gulma gentlemen, Mayang Tiwari, around a number of team, thought about starting a society like this. And today, we are seeing the result. Our main activity has been the publishing of a magazine. It's a quarterly magazine. We have already had 26 issues. And the 27th issue is now in print. It should be published sometime next week. As soon as I go back to Delhi, I will be releasing it. We have a monthly talk, one talk every month on the third Sunday of each month. We have already had 35 talks. Of the 35 talks, 5 have been delivered by Aditya Sinha, who is with us today. I think he has got a maximum interest. I think I come on board second with 3 talks. We have had 3 annual conferences. The first one was on the romance of the railways. The second one, railways of the future. And the third one on rail museums. We intend to make this an annual item and we'll have one talk every year. The talk is normally in the beginning of March. We organize guided tours. Guided tours to, like for example, one of the tours was the Chenab Bridge, where it was under construction. Another tour we had recently was to book a rail car and travel from Kaga to Jula. We organized it like that. We had another tour from Mau to Kaga on the MG section, which is, I think, now closed down, but it's the broadgate section is not following the same route. So the MG section is still there. We are running there. It is still. We have also started the publishing of books and have published one book till now. It is called Black Beauties, Steam Locomotives of India. This was compiled by one of our members, Vikas Singh. He has photographed and published 304 steam locomotives that exist in India today. You see that we have not missed more than about 10 locomotives. All the remaining locomotives that are there in India today, whether working, whether not working, whether lying derelict, whether lying in front of a station, all have been included. We have very few copies left, but we still do have about 20 odd copies left. If anybody can tell me, I can send you a copy. It's called Black Beauties, Steam Locomotive of India. We have also, especially the Kolkata chapter, has organized quizzes and debates. We ran one training program, training school students to be guides at the Delhi Rail Museum. Unfortunately, this training was done in the winter of 1920, and that's where COVID came along, and we couldn't really see how good these guides were, or how good or bad our training was. We have also been lobbying with the rail authorities on the conservation of many items. One notable item was what is the name of the bridge? Vivekanand Bridge, I think, in Calcutta. Jubilee Bridge. Anybody who is the rail India, welcome to become a member. All you have to do is send me an email or a WhatsApp, and I will tell you what you need to do. Our email address is very simple. It is railenthusiast2015@gmail.com. I'll repeat again, railenthusiast2015@gmail.com. Or you can send me a WhatsApp at number 813-0111589. I'll repeat again, 813-0111589. With that, very hearty welcome to everyone again. I'm sure you will like the fittings. Thank you.
Though this is a happy occasion, but sometimes we also have to share news which are slightly sad. So one of our very senior members, Mr. Deepak, Deepak Palchoudhuri, who wrote a book called Rail Now. It is about the evolution of railways in the eastern part of India. So that book was supposed to be published and first appeared in the Calcutta Book Fair in 2023. So here is a copy of Rail Now. So here is a copy of Rail Now. It's Rail Now, Evolution of the Railways and Eastern Focus, Deepak Palchoudhuri. It's published by a publisher called Parch. So unfortunately, before his book could be published, he passed away. And I would request Anubhav to one of our members to come in and say a few lines about it. Anubhav, please come.
Good evening, everybody. As Professor Datta had said earlier, it is not a good thing to bring somber in such an event, as everyone from the railway fraternity, from the tea fraternity, and railway enthusiasts like us has joined here in a building that has been almost the same age of the railway, the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway itself, but united by a common passion of the railways. As a local member of this Shiliguri Jalpaiguri region, and behalf of my co-rail enthusiasts who have worked tirelessly since last month to make this occasion a success, welcome you again in Shiliguri, the first such seminar, real-time seminar of the Rail Enthusiast Society. We welcome you. Once in an afternoon at July last year, I came to a post in the IRFCA forum. You know that IRFCA is the Indian Railway Fans Club Association. On its forum, a person called Ray Poka used to write stories of the growth of the railways across eastern India in a very outstanding form. But we could not trace him. Who was he? What was his name? Suddenly, after a year, last year, I got his mail ID and contacted him. He called me. We had a conversation about the railways, his life, and everything. He was 75. He was so active that he came almost running to attend the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the NJ Shatabdi Express at Howrah, running to see the train with rail fans, rail enthusiasts, who were a third of his age, some maybe less than that. One day he made me that I wanted to publish a book. I had a contact with the publisher, Mr. Ghosh. The book came in January. But due to a severe illness, suddenly he passed away in November 7th last year. So it's a big loss to the railway fraternity, because still in his laptop, there are terabytes of archival data related to timetables, related to railway documents, notices across the century. So please join us for celebrating this life. If you have read this book, a copy is available. It is available on Amazon. The book contains stories of how the railway came into being in Eastern India. There is stories of DHR. There is stories of the Eastern Bengal Railway. There is stories of Dibru-Satia Railway. There are stories of Bengal Railway, how it came into being in this region and how we enabled the growth. All these have been, we normally associate these kind of books with highly research-oriented language for people who are doing thesis or something like that. But this book is for the railway enthusiasts. This book is for the people who have experienced the journey and nostalgia for them. This book is for the people who run the railways in their daily lives to know and enrich themselves. I request everyone to kindly buy one copy and to celebrate his life. I now request everyone present here to observe a minute of silence in memory of him, beginning now. Thank you. It starts. Is seated. Thank you. And wish you and we do hope that you enjoy the evening and the view. Thank you. And on behalf of the Railway Enthusiast Society and especially the Railway Enthusiast guest in Shiliguri, we welcome you again to a lovely evening. Thank you.
Now we are going to start our formal sessions. Just like any seminar or conference, we need to have formal sessions. But still, I hope there will be an air of informality. So to have this air of informality, I'll just start with a small story, a personal memoir again. Because what a man can do better than talking about his own love. My first trip on the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway was not from New Jalpaiguri to Darjeeling. Like most people who actually travel, most youngsters who are of my age now, who were youngsters in the 70s or 80s, most have taken the train from New Jalpaiguri to Darjeeling. But I traveled the opposite way. But from Shiliguri town to Darjeeling on a summer, from Shiliguri town to New Jalpaiguri on a summer afternoon. And me and my brother, when we first got into a second class compartment, and as the train pulled away, we felt the need to go to the toilet and found that the coach did not have a toilet. So a few days ago, before coming here, I penned down the memoir, a short story called A Train Without a Toilet. So we begin with our first speaker, Mr. Aditya Palchoudhuri, who is the partner of the Mohurgong and Gulma tea estates. He is going to speak about the connection between railways and tea in India. Aditya Palchoudhuri is a computer science graduate from Cornell University and worked in software in USA, Italy, and later in India, where he developed software that ran in over 70 tea estates. He comes from a family of entrepreneurs who seem to have built their homes and businesses with a railway line passing through the front. And in case, this tea garden has the second meter gauge line passing through the middle. I think the meter gauge possibly has now become broad gauge towards Olive. Like many of his generations, he has fond memory of the railway and railway journeys done in his childhood and countless memories, countless momentary pleasures of connecting to a fleeting wave of hand to the passengers on the DHR. For the last 17 years, he has enjoyed running his family tea estate and reimagining how it will reinvent itself to meet the needs of the future. So, Aditya, please.
Good evening, delegates and friends. Welcome to our land of DHR forests and tea. The founder of this tea estate, Mr. Aditya Palchoudhuri, must be looking down at this 19th century building, pleasantly surprised that this seminar is being held in a structure that has spent as many decades as an office cum scrapyard as it has as a tea factory he built, and wondering what the future holds for it. He was born in 1856, studied in Presidency College, then Mechanical Engineering in Ipswich, UK, and became a leading Swadeshi industrialist and philanthropist of his time. His first job was in Ransom, Sims and Jeffries, a leading builder of boilers and agricultural machinery. So it is not surprising that he procured a Ransom's engine for Mohurgong tea estate in 1883, one of the 5 tea estates he has established, of which there are 2 others on our THR route in Tindharia and Guayabari, now known as Jogmaya. The Ransom's engine ran this factory and was, I am told, mobile enough to take to the field for ploughing and uprooting stumps and using steel ropes and pulleys. It can be seen on display outside, along with a replica of the DHR B class, which is under construction. He was instrumental in setting up the Krishnaghat Jalangi rail line in Nadia. Coincidentally, the other businesses or homes he built all had railway lines in the frontage, including one in Tindharia and one in Guayabari, that are in the same style and vintage of the Elysia place, which is the headquarters of the DHR. Like most in my generation, childhood holidays started and ended with a romantic train journey. And I think very few days passed when I did not hear the whistle of trains or a wave of hands to or from passengers. My father, Onik, grew up homeschooled in Guayabari until he was 12. He would regale me with stories of how he would place coins on the track to be flattened by the passing engine and roll down the railway line on handmade trolleys, and how his father, Omyo, would bicycle down from Guayabari to Mohurgong every morning and come back from Sukna with his bicycle in the last train after overseeing that the supplies that had arrived from Kolkata by the Darjeeling Mail were loaded onto bullock carts at Sukna. I recall that my father's elder brother Amitabh relived his childhood romance with the DHR with a train ride up to Darjeeling with his college friends when they were in their 70s. Am I right? No. All 4 grandsons of Vipuldash and his granddaughter Ina studied in Darjeeling. Summer holidays of Mayantara and her sister were there. My own mother studied in Kurseong. So please forgive us for our childhood attachment to the DHR. Thank you, Sanjayda and RES, for bringing our link with the railways into focus. I hope it will pave the way to put this building into appropriate use through our connectedness with the DHR, the Hillcart Road, Mananda Wildlife Sanctuary, for the people of Siliguri and for tourists. I want to specially thank the management and staff of this garden for their support, despite this mid-season complete disruption of their office, which is what this hall actually has been for the last 70 years. Mr. Nandi from head office, Arnav, our architect, who overnight made the drawings for the toilet, Mr. Joyant Day, Mr. Deepak Agarwal, Carpenter Vishnu and their teams for their lightning speed repair and renovation. Miraj Vishwakarma, who built the B class, Mahesh, Rabindranath and Gautam in our factory for volunteering to quickly build a tabletop rail line inside as per their imagination to display the DHR engine which Mr. Dixit has kindly brought to display. Mr. Nandi, the event manager, and all the volunteers and support staff, and most of all of you for being here. Darjeeling was developed from the mid-19th century by the British as a sanatorium to escape the heat of the plains, much like Simla, Uti, and Mathiran for the other metros. The natural views of the Kanchenjunga were unparalleled, and the town was soon christened the queen of hill stations. Tea from China, Camellia chinensis, became popular in the West, but soon after the Opium Wars, supplies became uncertain, and the British decided to grow their own tea plants, which was smuggled in. The Camellia assamica, which grew wild in Assam and was traditionally brewed by the Singpho tribe with known medicinal properties, were later discovered. Seeds from these native Assam trees became the foundation for most of the varieties developed by the Tea Research Association in Jorhat, Assam. Each wave of growth since the 1880s brought tens of thousands of people from Nepal and the Chota Nagpur area, mostly or almost entirely by train, and they gradually settled as permanent workers in hundreds of tea estates who looked at these enterprises for not just their own security, but for that of their children who inherited their jobs. It was by dint of the hard work of these migrant groups that the fledgling tea industry has earned fame for over 150 years now, and with as many women contributing as men, if not more. The railway colonies were not so different, with migrant communities bringing their skills and their hard labor. Their native place for both was just a train ride away, but with time, these places became their new home. It takes over 7 years for tea bushes to fully mature, and they typically last 50 to 100 years before they are replaced. Much like laying out new routes for the railways. Facing the fact of nature and uncertain markets became second nature to the tea planting community. Like the pioneering railwaymen, they were attuned to a vision of a better future, though not necessarily in their lifetimes. 140 years we look back and marvel at how they achieved what they did. There was no bistering, no JCBs, no tractors, no boleros or gypsies, no proper housing, no nearby police or courts, no emails, no mobiles, no WhatsApp, a huge shortage of labor, just dense forests full of wild animals with the steadfast purpose of creating railway infrastructure for tea plantations. The British, of course, built the railways to exploit the timber, oil, iron ore, coal, and transport labor and government machinery more efficiently. But we would perhaps not have emerged as one big independent nation had we not been bound together by the railways. Tea was the largest net foreign exchange earner right up to the 1980s, and it is the most popular beverage in our country. It can be safely said that the railways and chai bind our nation together much more genuinely than Bollywood and cricket does. The Indian tea industry, like the Indian railways, employs millions of people. Our industry surely would not have developed without the railways. Whether the NFR in Assam Valley and North Bengal, the Assam Bengal railways in Kachar and Sylhet, the Kangra Valley railways in Himachal, or the Nilgiri mountain railways in the south. There is a train called the Tea Garden Express that connects the heartland of Tamil Nadu to the tea hub of Coimbatore and Ernakulam near the port town of Kochi. It was the only mode of transport for people from far-flung places. In our region, supplies would reach Siliguri town station from Kolkata and be transshipped to the nearest station of each estate, from where it would be transported by bullock carts or in the hills, sometimes by mules or ponies. All important communication was by the postal department through the railway mail service. Tea packed in chests would be delivered by rail to the warehouses or port for auction in Kolkata or London. Mr. Mani Shaunek, a member of RES and a former tea planter, told me about the lost railway lines in Duas from Raja Patkawa to Jayanti, Hamiltonganj to Chuapara, and Hashimara to Dalsingpara. I recall seeing remnants along the banks of the Tista as a child, and our Moza map still shows a railway line on our eastern boundary from Siliguri on what is now a PWD road. It was Noyantara's father and my father who decided to abandon this structure as a tea factory, but they did so because they needed much more space for their pioneering effort to manufacture CTC machines in India, initially under the Samuel Osborne banner and then under their own STM banner, which became over time the largest manufacturer and exporter of CTC machines. So there's a bit of this building in the history of every cup of chai that we drink. When the supply of CTC grew exponentially and assured more cuppage as recently as the late 1950s. Goods trains and chaiwalas in railway stations were instrumental in popularizing tea in every corner of our country. Tea is not just the flavors and aromas in the palate and the nose. The health benefits of tea is well known, but the mental health benefits is less known. It calls upon different emotions as we need it. If we need calming, it calms us. If we are tired, it energizes us. When we want to think, it may help us introspect, and it also helps us become much more social. So we are really cheapening this beverage by trying to make it cheaper and cheaper than what is already the cheapest beverage in our country. Now, with a population of 1.4 billion in India, we consume 500 billion cups of tea a year, which is harvested from 5 billion tea bushes. Just to give you some figures. I hope the delegates have got a taste and take back some of the history of these teas from outside that were on display. Somebody must please work out how many million tons of carbon dioxide emission are absorbed, oxygen produced, and how many billion liters of groundwater recharged for 6 billion kgs of tea shoots and maintenance foliage to grow every year in our country on over 1 billion acres. It is second only to water in throat share, and the only healthy beverage that is transported without water and without the need for Tetra Packs or PET bottles. Similarly, the much smaller ecological footprint of rail travel compared to airlines, cars, or buses should never be forgotten, especially as the railways embraces newer technologies and renewable sources of energy. If the environment cost and traffic congestion of the other modes of travel is allowed to be reflected in the fares, rail travel will see an unprecedented boom. Just like we should ensure that the ecological life cycle costs of more modern beverages should be factored into the cost of any environmentally conscious society. Tea culture in China is over 5,000 years old. And in Japan, it was introduced by Buddhist monks in the 6th century. Given that the country re-industrialized itself in 2 decades since then, and since the Second World War, where it was devastated, it is worth looking at their culture and their management style a bit. Employees there see themselves more as a part of a greater organization of good, and play a bigger role in building lifetime relationships with other employees, suppliers, and customers. The Japanese culture of Kaizen, or continuous improvement, is based on the idea that small, ongoing positive changes can lead significant improvements. Typically, it is based on cooperation and commitment and stands in contrast to approaches of radical top-down changes to achieve change. Our industry and the railway perhaps have some elements of the Chinese and Japanese style. And the Bada Sahib of an estate or the DRM of the railways have a lot of power to act independently. We have serious challenges ahead of us to create a greater sense of belonging and participation in the next generation of resident employees who will have more career options and ease of mobility. Japan has one of the most modern railway technologies, but they also preserve their heritage through museums and 9 lines on which steam engine runs. This draws millions of domestic travelers. Foreign tourists automatically follow, so that was not their primary goal. We need to take the best from both these nations. The role of the DHR and TS states can play in developing domestic travel and tourism organically in our area is immense. When the population density from Siliguri, just some random thoughts that came to my mind, with the population density of Siliguri growing, especially from Sultan to from Siliguri to Sikla and Champasari to Gulma station to our east, with lots of schools and colleges along the way, Can there not be rail buses on both the routes, like a suburban railway, to reduce the congestion? Can both the routes not be combined to form a loop with a 5-kilometer line along the forest boundary? Can the DHR not combine with more Darjeeling tea estates along the route to take tourists on a circuit from one tea estate to another? Can there not be a guide, a map, and local attractions and motorbikes and taxis in every station so that people are encouraged to hop on and hop off with trains plying rather than congesting and polluting the roads? Can rail buses not carry commuters, local commuters, to substantially reduce pollution and congestion on Nilkant Road from Darjeeling to Kurseong? As Mr. Raj Basu, who is here, explained to me recently, we must responsibly ensure that the tourists go back enriched and without their presence destroying the local environment and culture. No economy can grow without a sound ecology. Human laws need to go hand in hand with the laws of nature. It is not just about planting cryptomeria or tea on the hillsides, or saving the tiger, or protecting the elephant corridor, or citing the hornbills. The ecosystem is a fragile and complex interdependence of tens of thousands of flora, microflora, bacteria, fungi, air, water, insects, birds, animals, and without negating us humans as the dominant species with the greatest responsibility. Ecologists and universities have a huge role to play in understanding local issues and influencing policy. When the Western nations preach to us that we are spoiling the environment after having become more developed themselves and continuing to pollute the environment per capita more than we do, we are right in objecting. But if we do not try to keep this delicate balance intact ourselves, the price of local environmental change will be paid by us locally, and we will not be able to blame others for it. Every tea planter here is conscious of how we are having to increasingly adapt to climate change. If neglected or sometimes abandoned, tea gardens start dying, slowly but from all sides. The buildings, the machines, the tea bushes, the work culture, but most importantly, the sense of hope that was built up so many years. Forests that decay faster than they regenerate become the largest emitters of carbon dioxide instead of the largest carbon sink, and a lot of biodiversity is irretrievably lost. If the DHR is allowed to decay, not just the engines and tracks, but the priceless skills of the workmen, the boilermen, and the engine drivers will be lost with it. If Darjeeling town becomes any more polluted or densely populated, tourist flows will just shift elsewhere, and the hillside might collapse one day. And if encroachments or hoardings block our view, whether by train or car along the route, which tourists can enjoy the natural beauty of the hills? I will end with a poem I learned in class 9. My friend Manoj over here may remember. It's called, I never thought of it until Chandra asked me to give a speech. It's called On Killing a Tree by G.F. Patel. It takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. So hack it and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied, and pulled out, snapped, or pulled out entirely, out from the earth cave, and the strength of the tree exposed. The source, white and wet, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth. Then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. Friends, let us reflect on what the point meant on killing the trees that Mother Nature, as well as the founding fathers of the DHR and the tea industry planted. There are many in this room I know who have in my industry who have turned around sick and abandoned gardens not far from here. And I am sure even more railwaymen here who have done the same in their careers. Let us draw from the experience of all the people who have come before us. They are our heritage. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
For the wonderful talk. I think we should be able to take questions, but just to keep the flow on. We will take the questions at the end. You can keep the questions ready. The speakers are here and they will actually respond. So before I introduce my next speaker, I feel that I am also kind of anecdote teller for this evening, not just apart from being master of ceremony. It is always great to introduce a fellow academic, but before I introduce you, I want to tell you about a story about the culture of this town of Siliguri and New Jalpaiguri in the early late 70s and early 80s. Can anyone believe that the culture of this town was linked to a train? And the train, in my mind, is the legend of all legends, Shyamla Hindu Jalpaiguri, Darjeeling. So it was said that the Siliguri town itself, when got up from the sleep and started walking on the Darjeeling and arrived at New Jalpaiguri. And when it departed at 7:15 in the night, that time the city started sleeping, it closed down. So my becoming a railway enthusiast is not because looking at trains in the daytime, but because of looking at a string of lights with a glow of the steam locomotive cab being hauled to New Jalpaiguri yard and towards Shialda. And I have seen that many, many times in my childhood and it's etched in my memory. And it is very important that to note that Darjeeling Mail is, in some sense, a real patron of the Darjeeling Himalayan Railways because it brings everyone to actually take the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway. So Dr. Shobhit Chakraborty is the professor and head of the Department of Forestry, Uttar Bongo Krishi Vishwavidyalaya, Tulibari district, Kuchbihar. So he's like him being called Jungli. And his passion is forest and his obsession is mountains. So he seems to be doing a job which he likes. So nothing is more interesting than having your job and your passion. So please come in as we would like to give you a brief insight on the biodiversity and forest with special reference to Darjeeling Himalayas. Please come in, sir.
Everyone, my pranam. A very good afternoon to you all. I should first convey my regards and gratefulness to the organizer to give me an opportunity to be here. And most importantly, Mr. Aditya Palchoudhuri, who has actually taught me. And I find him is a very gem of a person. What he spoke, that's what I was actually going to speak. What rather an academician speaks like me speaks, it's rather that he has given a nice presentation. Anyway, I in my biodata, I'm thankful that Mr. Dr. Datta has given me a brief introduction. I like to call myself Jungli. Jungle ka aadmi, man of forest. I may be rather in suit good. I don't like these dresses. I like Jungle ka Kanun. Jungle ka Kanun means survival of the fittest. Those who is fit can survive. It is Darwin's theory. And we modern society is going against it. And therefore we are facing all this problem. It is because of our greed, because of our love of self-importance, because of our tend to be more luxurious comfortable, we are hitting hard to the environment. We have become the society of not using, rather we feel proud to waste. And this is what we are facing today. It's rather not that what this mother nature has given us enough to satisfy our need, but not for our greed. And we modern people have become greedy. So this is the only art till today's modern scientific knowledge has known. Maybe there are others, but till now, it is the only one we have. And I know you might be remembering in 70s there was a group called Gulma. They have a song, Don't Kill the Earth. It is the only one we have. So whether about 40, 50 years ago, this song has become so much important that we are killing our earth. You might be knowing Kalidasa, who is in the Norwegian Sakuntala. He was regarded one of the greatest fools of his time. He was once cutting the branch of a tree while he was sitting itself. Now we modern men are hitting our own foundation to be being wiped out. We are hitting our own foundation to wipe out this whole humanity from this earth. Have you imagined how this blue art may be looking from above space, the art? I will be showing you some photographs of taken by astronaut Sunita Williams. Before going to that, you are all railway enthusiasts. Education is incomplete without feelings. Education is incomplete without emotions. Unless and until you don't have emotions that are free, then education is useless. We here, because education is only the manifestation of perfection already in human being. It is already there. It is observation the mother nature has. And what we are learning for the betterment of the human society. It is not for myself. Please see the art from the space. Please be fast because so please see, this is playground of Europe. Iceland. This is Black Sea, Red Sea. The art in the right in the middle of the space, somewhere in the space. This is another face of the art. This is the African continent, forgotten Europe. This is the our India, the lightning satellite. This is Australia, North America. How the night approaches, some part of Africa is still there in day and not over the night. Faster. South America, Brazil is a very huge country. Please come to the next presentation. This is the art to 2070. Yeah. Now I will see. Now I am showing you a presentation. I am just trying to hit your heart. I am just trying to knock your heart. I will come in a short presentation about what I am doing. So just imagine the art and we, our generation, maybe our children and grandchildren at 2070. The life expectancy will decline. It will be not more than 40, 45 years. But the guy of 40 will be looking beyond the age of 80. Now the time is different. We are wasting recklessly. Then there will be no trees, no water, no forest. We will have oxygen to be rationed. We will have water to be rationed. Everyone will be suffering from one kind of disease. They will be not a complete man. Now we waste water because we have abundance of water, but then how will you take bath? there will be cream or jelly story. Now everywhere we are saying water. People of today's generation is not listening. There are so many reasons. We know the cause, we know the effect, but still we are not doing anything. The earth is becoming heat and heat. The effect that you are seeing is all because of climate change. The temperature of the earth has increased from so there are no industries, please be first time. First. The letter written by our great past president, the missile and APJ Abdul Kalam. Now coming to my slide, biodiversity and Darjeeling Himalayan Railway. It's a short. You know, Darjeeling is one of the biodiversity hotspots. It comes in a part of the hotspot area. This is Indo-Malayan biodiversity hotspot. I have been working in this forest area for last 20 years. The more deeper I went into the I ventured into the forest, I know that I don't know. And I can say surely that I don't know anything about the forest. So this is basically Darjeeling. Earlier it was Darjeeling, now administratively it is Darjeeling and Kalimpong. There's a lesser Himalaya, middle Himalayas, and upper Himalayas. Now I'm working in this, working on the biodiversity aspect and the carbon, that is the whole. One of the important aspects of climate change that was Mr. Palchoudhuri was speaking, the tea gardens. Tea gardens has a lots of carbon stored. And in Himalayan railways, I will say the railways as a transport has per capita carbon dioxide release is lesser than any other transport in this world. Per capita release of carbon dioxide. If I drive a car, then the per capita is very high. If I go bus, okay, it is lower. But if it is railways, it may be higher. He was telling that why not increasing more railways of this type? I think so. This is just not of that much. I'm just giving the general climate. You see how the climate is fluctuating. At least in the last 100 years, the temperature of the average temperature of Darjeeling Himalaya has increased by 0.6 degrees centigrade. 0.6 degrees centigrade is huge rise. So it has the protected areas. Most of the forest of this area is protected. And important on Nevra, Singalila. I have been working on this basically on the biodiversity aspect, the carbon storage aspect, because every plant stores carbon dioxide. Next. It has a network of all those highly endangered species. The most remarkable is your red panda. So most important land use in Darjeeling is your tea garden and forest. Next. So these are the different forest types from template and these are important flora. Important is there are 17 types of rhododendrons that I have found here. Actually, there is 23 types. Among them, 5 or 6 are highly endangered. These are faunas. Most important animals that are the flying squirrel, porcupine, and sambar. There are others also. Next. So people are telling cities, this is actually 6 things of Darjeeling. The tourism, poetry, tiger hill, checkers paradise. They all are interconnected and we need to be aware. though there is very less scientific academic studies. When I was sitting, my colleague Dr. Palchoudhuri was telling that, sir, why don't you make a study on the effect of Darjeeling Himalayan Railways on the biodiversity of the area? That means the upper hillside and lower hillside from the proximity towards the end, so that we can know the impact of Darjeeling Himalayan on the biodiversity of this area. Next. So this is Darjeeling Himalayan. I should not throw light on this because to speak before you on Darjeeling Himalayan Railways will be just like lighting a candle before the sun. So this is Darjeeling Himalayan Railways and tea gardens. They are interconnected and they should be preserved and conserved with more awareness towards the general public. I say not only to the general public, it should be a total linkage of the lawmakers, policymakers, academicians. They should come on one platform and work on it so that this can be enhanced. Because unless we don't do it, it will be a loss to the biodiversity, to the society as a whole. We need, see, it is not that the people are doing harm. It is doing that whatever for Darjeeling is the problem is the land rights. Land rights are doing harm. We need to think of that way. So that people actually, those are living, the people of the land, they know how to protect, but they should be taken into the recognition. They should be right from the planning part. That means there should be a partnership of all the stakeholders. Unless and until we don't go towards partnership, nothing will work. Next. So these are the tourism from Sangatu. Next. Next. So this is what I see. What I feel that I should say. This is a legacy. A legacy to be preserved. Maybe there are different schools of thought. Maybe someone will be speaking of colonial legacy or capitalist legacy, but I don't think of that way. I think of that way that is these are the lifeline one wants to link the people of hill and the plains, and they need to be conserved. They need to be conserved in a way they should come up with more ideas how to increase the livelihood of the people. That means you have to connect the local people with it in terms of tourism, ecotourism, and other form of employment opportunities. And Darjeeling Himalayan Railways and tea gardens has the greatest opportunity to bring employment in these hills. Unless and until we think in that way, in a partnership mode, we cannot develop the place. People will come, people will go, but nothing unless and until we don't do for the land, for the people of the land, nothing will improve. So I again grateful to the Rail Enthusiast Society. They are really enthusiastic, and I know they're emotionally attached to it. And this, as you see here, all of the Darjeeling goes in the lush green way of the rider. So this will encourage people. I feel that there should be planning to bring up more railways because of the fact that it will decrease the per capita release of carbon dioxide, and it will also give relief to the already burdened, highly pressurized road network of the area. So I hope this we can all be together, academicians, rail enthusiasts, policymakers, lawmakers, politicians, administrators, all come together platform, and so that we can work in the people and also can say our proud heritage. Thank you all for questions here.
Lot of thanks for your encouraging talk. And I'm sure what you said is going to answer this question why you will narrow these railways. And it comes, it's courtesy Darjeeling Himalayan Railway Society UK. And the next speaker, David Mead, is from the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway Society. He is also the chair and director of the engineering and DRCS Diason. He is going to speak a lot about B class. His talk title is Darjeeling Himalayan Railways Present and Future. So many railway enthusiasts here got their sword, wouldn't like to see the mighty iron shell for the B class has been replaced by a tiny diesel. So unfortunately, it seems I also had a minor role having the diesel here. It was just a matter of luck. So while traveling with Cherry Martin, while he was researching his wonderful book, Halfway to Heaven, so we met Mr. Pranav Chakravarti at Tingaria. He was an AAB at that time, 1997, 98 that time. So he was talking about introducing diesel because he wanted to keep the steam speed and fine. So at that time, I had a book called Diesel and Electric Locomotives of India, written by J.L. Dahu, and I showed him a picture of an experiment already done in 1938, and an experimental diesel locomotive standing in Kashia. And he said, why don't you give me the book so it will help me to convince the authorities? I said, okay. So he took the book never came back, but the diesel came. So David has been a member of the society since February 2006. Not our society, but the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway Society, a very important society and pressure group, which keeps on having a kind of dialogue with IR about the DHR. He was co-opted to the committee in October 2007. In this capacity, he has played 3 roles, namely correspondence secretary, liaison member for DL Darjeeling Railway Community Support, and advising the committee on engineering aspects of DHR. In 2011, he headed a project in Pindaria workshop to reskill the workforce and overall locomotives. In 2019, Devi assisted the UNESCO team with workshops and the preparation of maintenance manuals in connection with CCNP. In 2022, we visited DHR again at the request and company Adrian Shooter, who was the president of the DHR, to support the DRN NFR and directed DHR with improvements to the railway in all areas of operation. I'm sure you might be the DHR, DRM. So today I welcome David to speak on our favorite B-class locomotives, our Iron Sherpa, and I'm sure this would be a talk which all the railway enthusiasts will enjoy. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm not going to repeat, and thank you for the very nice introduction that you've just given me. Now, what I'm going to say now is my personal view and does not necessarily reflect the views of the DHRS or its members. And I'm going to talk about DHR change and challenges.
David, we can't hear you. They're adjusting. Give us a moment, please.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Shall I carry on?
I'll carry on.
Can you hear me?
We're on. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll carry on. Good day, everyone. Thank you for that lovely introduction. It said covered a lot of the things I was going to start with, but that's you've covered everything very well. Thank you. The following is my personal view and does not necessarily reflect the views of the DHRS or its members. So what I'm going to talk about is DHR change and challenges. Let's start with the change. In recent years, the DHR has lost its public service role and changed into an almost entirely premium fare, tourist-orientated railway. Despite local demands, this seems unlikely to change, as the biggest and most profitable market for the DHR passengers is undoubtedly from the rising Indian middle class. My feeling is that heritage in India today is in a similar place to the situation in the UK in the 1950s and 60s, when we were destroying buildings and industrial heritage in the cause of modernisation. India has outstanding examples of preserved buildings, such as the Taj Mahal, but industrial heritage, such as DHR, is not viewed with the same importance, although I think this will change with time. I also believe we have been in danger of seeing the declaration of the DHR as a World Heritage Site as an end in itself, and in safeguarding and preserving the DHR as we would wish it. It is, after all, a working railway, catering for the rising expectations of those who pay to ride it. So World Heritage status listing should be seen not just as a means of promoting the DHR, but also in educating and developing an appreciation of industrial heritage. It has been said recently that the heritage railways in the UK are in the entertainment industry, and they need to remember this if they are going to survive. I believe this statement applies equally to the DHR and the other hill railways of India. Simply providing a train ride is no longer enough. What is needed is an experience. But how do we get a sensible balance between historical accurate heritage and entertainment? In the UK, the majority of passengers and visitors to our heritage railways strongly prefer steam to diesel traction, and this is shown in the passenger numbers. I suspect everyone present here today would much prefer a B-class steam locomotive at the head of a DHR train, but what about the majority of the passengers? From Indian Railways' point, it's clearly much more cost-effective to use diesel traction than steam. Added to this is the environmental consideration of using fossil fuel. Filthy smoke amidst clear Himalayan mountain air is becoming unacceptable. Although this is one area where the DHR has to put forward specific proposals has to put forward specific proposals which, if implemented, would hugely reduce the effect and improve performance through higher fuel quality, crew training, and better locomotive maintenance. Much of the deterioration in the steam fleet is due to a loss of skills and knowledge, and here also the DHRS stands ready to help, provided there is a clearly defined commitment for the continued use of that fleet and covering recruitment and training. On the positive side, organisations such as RES are developing and growing, and could be very active in promoting and developing a wider and deeper awareness of industrial heritage. But this will only be achieved by being very active and imaginative. Sitting on the sidelines and watching is not an option. The Gulma Junction project has great potential to do this, but local community involvement is also vital. In the UK, many railway routes, both national network and heritage, have friends or user groups. And here again, the DHRS can provide advice and ideas for a DHR equivalent, provided that such a group is recognised by and encouraged by the DHR authorities. Challenge number 1. To encourage an interest in industrial heritage in India, to highlight its importance in the history and development of India using the DHR as an example. The object being to develop a demand for DHR services, some powered by steam at a fare that covers its extra costs. RES and other railway groups need to drive forward this demand by promoting industrial heritage in all forms of media throughout India. Obtaining Indian Railways permission to survey the passengers using the DHR on their journey experiences and wishes. encourage local attractions and tour operators to develop packages for tourists that include not only travel on the Joy Train, but travel on other sections of the line from NJP to Darjeeling. The line between NJP and Gulma is the most interesting part of the line, in my view, and an increase in passenger numbers would benefit the finances, climate, and reduce road traffic. Challenge number 2. Ensure none of the infrastructure is destroyed or damaged to the extent that it cannot be restored at a later stage, when attitudes to heritage and preservation change. This was a mistake made in parts of the UK. This will only be achieved by having a constructive and pragmatic approach. As lovely as it might be to preserve the DHR as it was sometime in the past, under current considerations, this is not going to happen. Under current conditions, this is not going to happen. When the DHR gained World Heritage status accreditation in 1999, that coveted distinction was subject to the completion of a Comprehensive Conservation Management Plan, CCMP for short. In effect, practical, comprehensive guidance on how these features that had justified WHS listing should be conserved. With considerable work by UNESCO India and equally considerable funding by Indian Railways, work finally started on the CCMP in 2017, but sadly is currently stalled, reflecting different perceptions as to what is necessary. UNESCO sees the current high priority on improving financial performance and as detrimental to conserving unique features which justify WHRS, while NFR regards UNESCO's position as too prescriptive and interventionist. One continuing hurdle to agreement is how the DHR is managed. In 2003 and again in 2004, the Indian Railway Board instructed NFR to establish a separate and empowered management unit for the DHR at Kurseong as a heritage line, and as required by the terms of the WHS listing. This instruction has never been fully implemented. The CCMP for the DHR was intended to be a template for the 2 other WHS hill railways, so its delayed completion has other wider implications. As throughout, the DHRS is very keen to help both parties reach an early and amicable resolution. Challenge number 3. Improve the performance of and reliability of the steam locomotives. The wonderful thing about steam engines is that they can always be repaired. What is required is the knowledge of their workings and the skills to repair, maintain, and operate them. With the rundown of steam, the challenge is to ensure that skills and knowledge are not lost. Fortunately, the skills can be taught, and there is a wealth of knowledge available from around the world. The DHRS is well placed to continue to help with this. The B class used to be capable of hauling 4 carriages and a van up to Darjeeling. There is no reason at all why they cannot pull the same drawbar load today. How this equates to carriages currently in use depends on their tare weight, i.e. their unladen weight. There has been a tendency for the tare weight of the newer carriages to increase, and this has not helped. More attention given to the weight during the design process could resolve this issue. The areas of overhaul, POH, maintenance and operation of the locomotives affect their haulage power, reliability and operating costs. During my visit with fellow engineer Mike Whedon in 2011-12, we assisted in the overhaul of 804B. This involved boring out the cylinders, which were oval and tapered, making new piston heads and rings. This locomotive was chosen because its valve vents were good, but clearly there was a blow-by in each of the cylinders. The work transformed the locomotive from only being capable of shunting stock at Siliguri Junction to storming up the gradient between Tindaria Works and the station with 3 carriages with ease. With any luck, I'm hopefully to show you a video of this test train later on. We wanted to try again with 4 carriages, but bureaucracy, I'm afraid, got in the way. With refurbished cylinders and the valve gear set correctly, Tindaria Works are capable of overhauling locomotives that will perform well. One area that would benefit from improvement is lubrication. The use of the correct lubricants is critical to the performance and service life of the locomotive. Steam oil is a particular problem. Steam oil is formulated to withstand the temperatures in the cylinders and not be washed off the cylinder walls by the steam. Ordinary lubricating oils will not lubricate the cylinders satisfactorily and will result in premature wear and loss of performance because of the steam blowing past the pistons instead of forcing them down the cylinder. The oil is manufactured by at least 2 of India's oil companies. Attention also needs to be paid to the lubrication of axle boxes, slideways and motion. Currently, the covers over the axle boxes are damaged on some locomotives, allowing dirt to enter, and cotton waste is being used as in the axle boxes. Ideally, the covers should be a good fit and oil pads used. In the motion, trimmings and cork should be being used to ensure a steady flow of oil and that the oil is retained in the reservoirs. Well-maintained and well-lubricated locomotives will travel farther between overhauls, be more reliable and cost less in maintenance overall. Any marginal extra cost invested in high-quality overhauls and maintenance will be more than fully recovered by the ability to run longer and more profitable steam services with less environmental impact. Now I'm going to try and do a screen share and show you visitors. Let's see how we go. This is the test train that we had with the 3 carriages after the loco had been overhauled in Tindaria. You will notice from the video how strong and even the exhaust beat was, and it just shows what can be achieved at Tindaria with the workforce and the machinery that they have. I'll show you another video at the end of the B class we have in this country as well. Challenge number 4 is training. Training of steam loco crews, maintenance staff, train crews and station staff. Steam crews need to understand the importance of lubrication and using the correct oil grades, and the importance of the correct size of coal that is fed into the firebox. This should be the size of a small fist, not broken up into almost dust. If the coal is too small, it will prevent a good airflow through the firebed, drop through the fire bars, or go straight up the chimney. It is important that steam crews and maintenance staff appreciate that a steam locomotive with cylinders that do not blow through, valve gear that is set correctly, coal of the correct quality and size, and appreciated adjustment to cut off will result in a reduction in coal and water consumption, and therefore a reduction in costs, and that they play an important part in achieving this. Training of station staff and train crews in customer relations will ensure that passengers have a good experience. They will then tell their friends and family and encourage return visits. In conclusion, the DHR has a long and proud history, but faces a number of the challenges, of which I have just talked about a few. We must remember that the DHR is probably the most famous railway in the world. With all the stakeholders, including, of course, RES and DHRS, working together with UNESCO and NFR, the DHR should have a good future. However, I have had bad advice on this today on the disturbing suggestion that it is NFR's intention to move the overhaul of the B class from Tindaria to Golden Rock. This is a retrograde step, DHRS, and limits the engineering support that we may be able to give. And just in conclusion, I will hopefully show you the locomotive that exists in this country, 19B, and you will see in its original home railway. And on that note, thank you very much for listening, and maybe we'll get some questions later. Thank you.
What would we call his final position would be called member of finance in the railway board today. And he is not only a railwayman, he is a passionate rail lover. He has, to his credit, the building of the Tinsukia Railway Museum at NFR, where he was a DRM in Tinsukia. He is also an ancient writer of books on railway topics, and one of them is a collection of stories for trains to Darjeeling and other stories. Another is called Howrah Station, and the last one is called Assam Mail. So when you read Howrah Station and Assam Mail, and you think about what the protagonist is doing, you surely understand who the protagonist is. So, Chandra, I welcome you to give your talk on the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, a path for a sustainable future.
Thank you very much, Jolly. It's indeed a pleasure to be heard by an august audience. I will take off from where David has ended. He's talked about the technical part and the heritage part. As far as I am concerned, my presentation is only suggestive and it's a personal view. Being involved with DHR for a long time, including at the railway board policy level and the CCMP, I feel that there is every possibility of the DHR not only sustaining its heritage but also having a sustainable modernization plan. See, no railway can solely live in the past. And therefore, my presentation is not technical. It is what I did best once upon a time. It's a financial presentation or a structural presentation. Then how DHR should survive, grow, and serve society. Next. This I will not repeat. This is also new. Now, why DHR? Because it is Darjeeling Himalayan Railway is perhaps the most well-known hill railway across the world. We have a lot of hill railways in Europe and in various other continents, but the ambience, the aura of DHR is unparalleled. That is why we even have a vibrant society in England called the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway Society. So that talks about it. Let me just summarize or expand on what David said about the challenges. He spoke about the technology challenges, but I would say that no organization can survive without financial viability. I'm happy to have the present DRM and the ex-DRM with me here. And as an ex-railwayman, I'm still my heart is in the railways, even after retiring for 6, 7, 8 years. For the heritage value, one of our most important things is to maintain our, to develop skilling. See, as far as I know, the railway board has already nominated in the workshop for narrow gauge maintenance of steel, like it is done for meter gauge, NMR, at the Trichy workshop, and sir, may I crave your attention also? Sorry. The NMR, the Melgary Mountain Railway, has Trichy as its backbone, Trichy Golden Rock workshop. Similarly, broad gauge steel is with Rivara. So we have all the skills here. The Prime Minister and the Government of India have brought in Skill India. And I think we have enough opportunity in the area workshop and the sheds to reimagine the scope of skill. But we need to have the old and the new parallel, and which I think the Ministry of Railways is thinking about. Next, please. There are hundreds of people who talk why these hill railways are required at all. After all, each mountain region is served by dependable road transport. But I would say there are a large number of positives and opportunities here. The first is the inherent strength of 1.1 million people of the Indian Railways. That cannot be compared with any other organization in the world. Without that strength, you cannot sustain this kind of a railway with passion. The second is the colossal amount of tourist attractions that we have. Whether we recognize it or not, it contributes to local economy directly and indirectly. Well, it may not contribute to the formal sector, But there's so much of informal sector dependent on this railway, even today. I would even say that the people who are encroaching upon the land are also dependent upon this railway, although we may not want to say so openly. But yes, they also make their money, have a good living there. Then we have an emotional and social connect with everybody. Till now, nobody's bothered if the train runs twice a day or it doesn't run at all. But the moment you touch the DHR to change it somewhat, there'll be a furor. I'm sure I agrees with you. You see, it's like the mother in the household. As long as she keeps giving you your food, breakfast, no problem. The day she falls ill, everybody wakes up, oh, mother's gone over there. No problem. So that's the kind of thing, you take DHR for granted. The people around take DHR for granted. We have to evoke this emotion into a passion. And it adds value to the region tremendously. Darjeeling Jachi, all over India, everybody makes money out of Darjeeling. Like they make money out of the Indian Railway logo, although that's a national logo and they are not public. Similarly, if we can develop the railway further, we will uncover the road network somewhere. How? Let's see. See, we are talking about the railways as such. In the year 2017, from the Rail Enthusiast Society, we made the formal presentation in front of the full board. And we suggested certain vision. I am extremely happy to inform you that at that time, certain delegation of power. In fact, the full board told us, let the DRMs and the directors of the DHR first graduate to become self-sufficient. Then we will take the next step forward. At that time, the director DHR were given ample powers. If you see those orders on Railway Board for running charters, for developing. Earlier than that, director DHR was more of a president of India type of situation who would only sign. But thereafter, the director DHR, especially those who chose to become very active in it, they started exercising. They brought in a lot of tourist-friendly things which they did available. So they did it. Now, our question is, so out of that, Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, as I see, let us see the three railways. Palchoudhuri Railway, I have found, is doing pretty well because it is not parallel to the road, it is not an alignment which is protected. And being state capital, Shimla is even more clogged than Darjeeling road. So people do want to have more and more services there. It's easier to do. AMR is doing splendidly too, for the same precise reason. But no other zone has the challenges DHR has. First of all, we don't know whether the land is owned by the railway or the road. We really have a lot of curves, structure we will not talk about, but we know the challenges that are there. But I do feel that if we restructure ourselves for what, we can bring international best practices to harness and develop it. How best can this be done? My personal belief is, as I've said this in personally, that Indian Railways being a government department has still some limitations. Whereas if we can move a bit away from the Indian Railways, with the Indian Railway as the mother, I'm sure we should be able to bring a lot of benefit. So what are the answers? First of all, we need to position DHR in the national and international tourism circuits. We have three WhatsApp groups in our Rail Enthusiast Society. One from the National WhatsApp group, one on the Eastern India, one is the Western India based in Mumbai. Believe me, for the last 5 years, I have not found a single Mumbai or Pune or Kerala member of that group even talking about it. Why? Why should that be? It's the same with the other railways as well. So we have to somehow nationalize the passion. That is a very important thing. And it will only start with railway being passionate about it. And then, of course, organizations like us who love railways can come as a connect group. Then we should be able to take this message forward. Secondly, encourage local participation. We will talk about how to do it. I will talk. Recapture centrality around the alignment. See, in Kolkata, I have found that the footpaths are encroached. Why? Because the people walk on the roads. They never use the pavement, so the hawkers sit on the road. So it's a similar thing here. If we don't run more services and timetable services, how will we do it based on the and if the travelers, not only tourists, because they're tourist centric, the first phase has come. Now we need to have a commuter centric kind of situation. We've been talking, I think Aditya was talking about the portion, straight line portion between the junction and Sumna. In fact, I personally went to a number of schools there, and they were extremely encouraged that if school trains can run during school hours there, they would be happy to put instead of buses, because the buses are popular. And but then if locals are wanted, then the locals lying in pretty new locals lying in Watership, perhaps they can be reimagined here or at least the straight portion. They cannot tackle it. As you are brilliant engineers and managers, I would not like to put the technology in where I am not going to, but I feel that perhaps we can think about such things where everybody sees okay, the train is running every hour, they will not only travel like a Calcutta tramways, but they would also start protecting and not encroaching. That's a small beginning. Then make the DHR catches for the local youth and environment. How do we come? What are the actions already taken by Indian Railways in this? Heritage identity has been restored to the UNESCO listed railways, including the DHR, with an earmarked organization. So everyone has a director and a focus on it. The director have been given special powers in commercial, financial, and O&M. I'm reiterating this because railwaymen know outsiders really don't know what railways have done for their employees. We do criticize the railway administration, but please understand that the railway administration in its own way has brought in structural changes within the organization. Third is, as I said in the railway workshop, we are not for the maintenance of narrow gauge rolling stock, sustaining stars. You know the belt run machines which had one of the working were restored 3 or 4 years back when Mr. Mishra was director lecture. And a special focus of encouraging tourism in the novel experiences and festivals which have been coming over the last 2 years have been a game changer. But now the leap forward. How could the DRM or how could the directed do it? They could do it because in 2017-18 these powers were given to their ballot. I think now the next international practice should come in. The first thing is to promote conservation, data tourism, and modernization of railway. This is said you're doing it, we try to do it even better. I propose that there should be a focused multidisciplinary special purpose vehicle under the Ministry of Railway to nurture rail railways through the joint venture or the public-private partnership route, leveraging tourism as its business model. We've had discussions with the railway board at the highest level. They had suggested that maybe a CRIS-like organization it could be a trust, it could be a society under the Ministry of Railways, where we could co-opt members with the related central and state government organizations as well as stakeholders, expert institutions like INDAC, who are willing to participate, DHR who are willing to participate in the governing council of the India. If we can do that for an increasing, you get talent from every space, Ministry of Culture, the state itself. Believe me, again, I would say that from our side and INDAC side, jointly we had taken up the matter with the CRV, when he was chairman railway board, when he was the chairman, Mr. Rao. And he had been kind enough to write to the Chief Secretary of West Bengal that there should be a monitoring committee at the highest level. When was this in 2018? Just before COVID. Unfortunately, COVID ke baad things went horribly. So and the Commissioner of Jalpaiguri Division and the Irana were made co-conveners of this organization. I have the link with me, I can share. And so that they work together and the state government sees. I know that the state government's what you say, energy in this is not so much because they feel the central government. But instead, as somebody said, instead of a top-down approach, we can make it a bottoms-up approach, start off with the director, DM kind of a thing, and empowered by KHAS. Maybe we can restart. This is as much a pride of the state as well as the railways. So therefore, in such things, DHR can definitely be act as an incubator, as a pilot. What's the way forward? The first thing I feel when we worked in the ministries for a long time, and one of the most important things is to generate a public policy document. I would really request the DRM to kindly generate a public policy document based on the challenges that are available, how to tackle the challenges, because all of you know what are the problems. Our friend Mr. Bhaiya is there, Mr. Mishra is there, and all the if the 3-4 next DHR they get this something together, identify and say what is the problem, then the solution will come. And a public policy document should come out so that our with a single aim, rail coefficient of DHR should increase. And based on that, seek an official public transport public solutions. I would like to only suggest that when I was in deputation in BSNL and DOT, and then when the TRAI came in, and at that time when we worked out on how the policy, PPP policies of telecom will come, the TRAI went around all the state capitals, discussed with people, and made out a very cogent public policy document. Once that was made, now you see how quickly we can communicate with each other on mobile. So this is the reason why what are the problems we must know of the people who are there. Then increase its reach. Now here I have a radical kind of thing. If increasing its reach means we are now re-invoking Seva problem. Why not? Which was part of the you see the booklet that I have presented, you will see the old DHR line map I have given. There used to be the same alignment as the Seva ground, which we will do. Now, can we have an organization, semi-autonomous under the railway board, which also involves that? Because this railway is going to be profitable. We can have that model. So the modernity of Seva Prabhu, the skills of Seva Prabhu can come in helping environment-friendly locomotion to start with for the hills. So the hill people will be happy about it, and we should also be part of it. This will boost its identity and finance. Next is the skill of the local youth. I don't mean skilling only for street. I mean skilling for the challenges in future in a hill. That is something totally different from Indian railways as well. Because there are very few hill railways of this sort. Maybe we can work on this. Here again, when I worked as a mentor of the Railways Committee, we had taken out in 2017 a 1-year order from board with finance concurrence. where we said that retired people can be recruited for 6 months. Skilled people at 1,500 rupees a day for 6 months, and it was given to every page or every year. Unfortunately, that could not be extended because of 1 year. Maybe that kind of a thing where you can attract the retired people who are still willing to still the youth can be done. Transforming the data as something and monetizing the extra spaces. Now, I visited this Siliguri town station the other day, and it seemed to me it could become the new market of Siliguri. See, there are influences all around. If the state government can come around together with the railways and monetize that place in the covered space, there's a foot overbridge, half old foot overbridge just made. Maybe that area. I've seen in Europe and US, there are so many such stations. Even fish markets have been converted into small malls. And that's a place where business is there. And the only thing is, yes, we have to do a very painful kind of an interaction because after August India is such a so obviously we can't give anything, but I'm sure that the state government and municipality comes together every time. This is the example. I know there must be a lot of challenges here. The business. PHR world is concept. Steam locomotive mechanism, the thrill and comfort of traveling due to its right of way. Then the one station, one product concept. Now here are the tea gardens. Our tea friends are here. Can you? I do not know how successful one station one product is, but it is. We are seeing very good. Can you perhaps adopt each station, even if and have a marketing outreach for your tea gardens that is in station? Maybe we could be able to generate. It's a win-win situation. We know it's a win-win situation for us. And of course, you have space monetization in a traditional fashion. I know our previous directors have done a lot of space monetization, but they have been, pardon me saying so, slightly niche application. What we need to do is a public policy, through a public policy. So in the long term, people know that yes, you're going to be able to do it. Like R&D does through a public policy. These are small things, but these are the things unless we give them a sustainability for 5 years or so. Without that, you will not be able to. Tomorrow we are all going to our friend to Kasyon, where the Kasyon station has been totally. Yesterday, my wife could have lunch in that restaurant which is come up, cafe center. What a wonderful concept it's come. Now, but there we have to have a franchisee for that longer period so that he can recover itself. Because without that kind of standard, you cannot maintain like in a car, basically. Community stakeholder involvement, I talked about indoors, trade, hotels, schools, colleges. Now, there are a large number of ex-alumni of the previous schools all over the United States, Australia, Germany. They are willing to pump in money for the HR. But unfortunately, since the structure does not exist, the public policy does not exist, they are not able to do it. They are willing to give to their CSR of their company. So maybe if we get the money, then we can invest. Now, investment is not, investment is not only for refurbishing a station. Investment means modernization. Investment means scaling. Investment means change of technology to suit environmental friendliness. But before we do the investment, we have to take certain issues. We have full of speed breakers in our country. One of them is statutory and regulatory obligations. There are a lot of problems there. Land access rights is another issue. There's, from 1964 onwards, I think the APWD and the railways are fighting. Whose land is on the digital rails land? Road is created, road is created. UNESCO guidelines do tie our hands. Agreements with local administration is a challenge. Dealing with pre-existing liabilities, including encroachments, condition assessment of DHR assets. This is the most critical thing that every asset has to be mapped. What is the condition? How to increase their value and the cost of rehabilitation and how to get the money for this rehabilitation. And critical assessment of reimagining in the DHR, its time frame, cost, and fund flow. So it has to be a very consolidated India. It's not an easy job, but I am just projecting what is I feel is required. Now, what is the structure of this SPV that I am trying to suggest? Indian Railway should remain the owner and act as the guarantor of the investors. Unless we guarantee to the investors, ultimately the investors will cry. The SPV should be in the form of a transfer society under the Minister of Railways, with representatives from heritage conservation experts, state and local government, nominees related to central industries such as culture, tourism, service transport, investor community and local industries, community leaders and local stakeholders, and employees. You see, employee emotion is very important. Well, I'm asking for this guy. If I make a spacecraft for going to Jupiter, I should be able to reach Moon. My idea is that. So our aim should be very high. Most important is that an actionable strategy has to be included in the SPV memorandum of understanding for attaining benchmark time-bound financial independence to identify future revenue stream. It can be a public sector, no problem. So that it gradually over the next 5 years it becomes independent from its own. Now I suggest there should be 3 stages. First, each stage should be completed before proceeding to the next. The first stage is the SPV will operate, manage, market, and promote DHR on behalf of DHR, like a managing agent. Well, let's say in this stage, they agree minimum benchmarks and deliverables for operating profits, cash flow will have to be achieved within the period pre-decided by the two parties. Obviously, timetabling is an issue. Obviously, the condition of the rolling stock and track is an issue. That we'll see how we handle. At this stage, IR will now plan out what infrastructure includes our requirement. That is, paper में तो डाले कि क्या चाहिए हमें अगले 20 साल. That will maybe you can make a. We were talking about 2047. Maybe we can make a plan 2047 for DHR. Because 100 years of our independence. Then comes stage 2, when operations will be taken over by the SPV, including timetables, etc. Then infrastructure will remain with IR, and SPV will pay in the IR for use of infrastructure on 3 fixed terms as a percentage of its operational revenue. Since something like a reverse case, in DFC, what happens? The Ministry of Railways with multilateral funding has invested into DFC, created DFC. Now they have to pay back their dues. So what Indian Railways does is it runs its trains on it, and it gives a limitage in sharing of cost track access for it. And from there the money is given after deducting the salaries and establishment. I say it is the reverse of this. So it's just like the port railways or we can discuss all this later. And the third stage is finally, when stage 2 finally stabilizes, the SPV will start managing the DHR's assets on mutually accepted terms, including the asset ownership will remain with IR, but staff will be from the SPV. Earlier too, the staff would have been from the IR, they could go on a deputation to the SPV. And then later on, when scaling comes through, the staff becomes of the SPV. Finally, these charges will be payable to IR by the SPV for the rail infrastructure. When a train goes, the train is owned by, like the right now the train ownership concept that is coming up. Various PSUs are taken and the SPV will have a right to monetize idle assets to generate revenue, which will again be shared mutual. The The DPR for implementing the three stages should include the current state of EHR and physical financial HR and propose solutions earmarking specific responsibilities of IR and the concession year-wise. The earmark medium and long term, and here the works program has to come, LNP program and the RSP. One time we have to upgrade and then hand it over to the STV. One time you upgrade, thereafter they should take over of the maintenance and improvement. There has to be a marketing plan, community involvement plan, and a strategic traffic plan coordinating inputs from stakeholders, road planning. A proper survey has to be done and integrated, say a herring board. DHR becomes a herring board, vertical column of the transportation system, whereas the road network feeds it, and the stations automatically become private as a result. Provided, of course, we can give regular service. Liability fund has to be sinking fund, and it has to be done so that they are identified defaults the SPV statutory, including the employee provident fund, because it will not be a railway employee. The final objectives for this subsidiaries, I feel, the due diligence should include three sustainable objectives. One, reduce losses to an agreed level by the end of stage one, generate profit, operating profit by the end of stage two, and provide profit after tax at the end of stage three. So we consider things like what we have already spoken about. I rest my case. Thank you. Jai Hind. I think it's too much of a utopia I'm thinking about, but I'm sure with all of us here, not only railway persons but railway lovers, we can do it together, provided we put our heads and energies towards it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee, for such a wonderful talk. No, these are not utopia because every railway started with a dream, including the first one. And railways that way liberates their navigation. So I am sure our keynote speaker, Mr. Surendra Kumar, the DRM of Katihar Division, and I am a child of the Katihar Division. So I'm sure he also had his own dreams about the DHR, and I'm sure he would be telling us that electrical engineer by profession who joined the railways in 1995, serving in many capacities as maintenance of rolling stock and traction distribution, workshop. Yes, his last position was as the chief works manager of the Kashmir workshop of Eastern Railway, and also he had worked as the chief electrical distribution engineer at Hajipur, which is the headquarters of the East Central Railway. So it seems he himself admits that apart from his running his regular schedule of reaching tracks, BT trains and operational broad-gauge part of NF Railway, a major challenge for him is to make this 140 plus years old DHR was financially viable without taking much funds from the Indian Railways. So we would like to invite Mr. to come in and tell us your vision of the railway, DHR.
President and members of Rail Enthusiast Society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to be among us, all of you, being a part of this seminar on HR, past, present, and future, organized by the Rail Enthusiast Society. The saga of Darjeeling Himalayan Railway is extraordinary. It is a signing illustration of man's courage, self-belief, and his strive against all odds for the creation of a unique transport system that is not only functional and splendid in looks, but has also become a socio-cultural icon. Its heritage status apart, the history of the railway For time to come, convey to the world facts about the unseen toil and hard work put by thousands of railway pioneers in background to create this masterpiece of marvel and beauty. As all of us know, the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway DHR is the first and still the most outstanding example of a hill passenger railway opened in 1881. It is applied bold and ingenious engineering solutions to the problems of establishing an effective rail link across a mountainous terrain of great landscape and beauty. In 23rd session of the UNESCO at Marrakesh, Morocco, from 29th November to 4th December 1999, it was recommended that communities inscribe the site on the World Heritage List. Subsequently, the DHR was included in the list of World Heritage Sites on 5th December 1999 and became the second railway in the world to get such status after several Austria, as well as first in Asia. However, conservation and preservation of such an entity has always been a challenging one. But despite all odds, this railway has been conserved in the most effective way, which is the result of our sincere efforts. The Conjoint Trust Agreement was signed between the Ministry of Railways and UNESCO on 20th January 2017 for extending technical support towards safeguarding of the mountain ranges of India, World Heritage Property, development of comprehensive conservation management plan, CCMP for the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, DHR World Heritage Sites report, for which have already been received and are being followed. Services of the heritage consultant were also hired. Residential buildings of Kolkata and Gayawadi, which got one putting the civil unrest, were restored to their original status. Preservation of old photographs of DHR has been done through digitization and R&D. Mapping and demarcation of DHR property has been done from Sugna to Gayawadi. Heritage steam locomotives have been rejuvenated and restored. These are only a few examples. At present, the DHR is fully operational and retains most of its original features. In fact, the train services are running well for more than 120 years and continue. It has preserved steam locomotives which are more than 100 years old and vintage coaches of 19th century made, which are still in working conditions. Significant artifacts, communication instruments, etc. are also preserved. Zigzag devices and loops of tracks are unique to the model, which are actually functional. The DHR achieved a new milestone during the last financial year, in which it operated in profit in the first quarter of the first time. Highest ever earning of 19.2 crores was recorded during the last fiscal with footfall of 1.56 lakh, which is again the highest ever. It received orders from the Distinct Parliamentary Committee on Railways last year and the delegates of G20 this year. Friends, you will agree that sustainability of any entity depends on its commercial viability to a large extent, and DHR is no exception for it. Therefore, the conservation of DHR and its operational sustainability cannot be ensured without making it commercially viable. On one hand, while we need to conserve this outstanding universal value, on the other hand, we need to make it commercially viable by taking necessary inputs. In this regard, also, many steps have been taken, which include opening of food restaurants at Darjeeling and heritage restaurants at Darjeeling. Multi-purpose systems and food outlets have also been opened at India's highest railway station. I hope that DHR continue to delight all of us and our coming generations in the same fashion it has been doing today. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
So, just to lighten up the mood, before getting on to our president to speak about the importance of heritage and its importance for DHR, how many of us, somebody in the mid-50s, Most of us would have heard about the song Choti Si Bansi Chotto Luteri, which people are in. This is the land of Sagina Mahato, and Dilip Kumar and Sarah Manu has immortalized in their film called Sagina Mahato. So the real story is slightly different. Tindhoria and the DHR are fantastic portrayal in that movie, maybe better than the documentaries which are usually shown. I think that movie does a real justice to DHR. So now I would like to invite our president, Mr. Vinu Mathur, ex-member, Traffic Railway Board, and also associated with the high-speed railway which is coming now between the bullet train between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. So it's an honor, sir. Please go.
First of all, let me President RDS express my gratitude to Mr. Aditya Palchoudhuri and the entire family for hosting this event in their premises, for reviewing this old country, having to shift people out of an office. I think you have gone through a lot of things, so thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the delegates who have come from this conference. It's very nice to be here on this particular occasion. I'd like to thank senior railway officers, past and present past and present directors of the DHR, and all distinguished delegates, and last but not the least, members of the RES who have come from various parts, particularly of Bengal. I actually didn't want to speak on the occasion, but I received a request from Mr. Palchoudhuri regarding highlighting the importance of heritage. Why should we preserve heritage? It's basically a concept. So the first thing is, we as a nation do not have a sense of history. I mean, it's a fact, we do not have a, forget industrial heritage like the railways. We don't have a modern sense of history of what happened in the past and what its relevance to the present. So I would like to emphasize what history does, appreciating the kind of nuances of history. Just understand our own roots, our identity. We learn to appreciate the past and what are the influences, what influences have brought us in. I must say, in Bengal, we have a much stronger sense of history than in other parts of the country. It promotes understanding of different cultures and traditions in your area, between the Nepali, the people in the Pen, the Bhutia, the Tibetan. There are so many different communities staying here, and history actually brings you together. Contributes to social progress, justice, and honors the sacrifice of legal generation. And the same actually applies to industrial history. Now, what are the different aspects of heritage I want to think about? First is cultural heritage. UNESCO inscribed various sites every year, either as cultural heritage, tangible. Tangible is something that you can see a building or a railway. Intangible is something that we talk about. Intangible is dance, drama, music, that kind of thing. Cultural heritage also has two parts. natural landscape like the Nanda Devi sanctuary, which is about biodiversity in Bengal. You have the Sundarban Tiger Reserve. You have the Mother Sanctuary in Assam. So that's another type of heritage which is important that we preserve. And one of the speakers talked about that. There is historical heritage that fought in Delhi, and you won't believe it. I'm a student of the school. I attended the UNESCO meeting in China in 2004 when the Bombay DT site was inscribed as a World Heritage Site. And it saddened me that at that point of time, the Red Fort, which is a masterpiece of architecture from Raja's time, was still not in World Heritage Site. That later on became a architectural heritage. I myself written a book on railway architecture. After I was enthused by the Bombay BT building, CSTM, being inscribed as the World Heritage Site. And industrial heritage are the three examples, are the three lines. Malkasana, DHR, and the why is conservation important? Because cultural identity and diversity. If you watched the television yesterday, you saw our Prime Minister standing in front of this and explaining to President Biden the importance of the Sun Temple with historical understanding, it helps in education and research, and it promotes tourism. When I went for this UNESCO meeting in China, there are lots of countries trying to get sites inscribed by you. And they are sites which are not attached on any of the Indian historical sites or on the DHR. Right? Why do they want to do it? They want to do it because it becomes a major tourist attraction and then punishment for that particular country. The last item is very important. The risk of cultural loss. And to this, I would add that all those sites that have been declared UNESCO World Heritage Sites run the risk of being declared by UNESCO a World Heritage Site in danger. Hampi, such a masterpiece in southern India, was declared a World Heritage Site in danger. And then you had to make a tremendous amount of effort to get it back on the right path. And now I would only like to caution, we have been fortunate in DHR being inscribed as a World Heritage Site. I would never like to see the day when we declare a World Heritage Site in danger. Supposing we stop running trains on this section, it will obviously become a World Heritage Site in danger. And we have amongst us here now, Mr. Paul Atkins, and I do hope when he speaks, he will speak on this subject because the area that he deals with. So, here on the railways, what are the facets of railway heritage, steam locomotives, rolling stock, railway architecture, bridges, signaling system, historic tools, and intangible heritage. Although the first few, all of you will understand, intangible heritage next. This is a mechanics institute in Jabalpur. It is also known as the European Institute, what this picture depicts. Now, the life in these railway colonies was unique. And Rudyard Kipling has written about it. And he captures the sense of life in these institutes and railway colonies. which now I'm saying is our intangible heritage. We have amongst us here today, we were watching that train go around, Mr. Dixit. I mean, I met him for the first time. I only spoke to him for less than 5 minutes. But Mr. Dixit says he has a wealth of knowledge. His father joined the DHR in 1942, right? He joined as A81 and he then rose from there. So he had the old stories and how he was saying the first zigzag was created. So these are something I think if somebody wants to sit with Mr. Dixit and record all this, because he's also now the country or that, I think you will get a tremendous amount of intangible heritage from Mr. Dixit. So intangible heritage is also important. I mentioned here language barrier. In the railways, we have a very interesting problem. On South Central Railway, particularly in the older days of Western Railway, you have staff like gangman, you have gatekeeper, you have punishment, they are different. We are constantly talking about still there. Now, for the instructor who trains them, he has to give a lecture in 3 languages. And they do it. They are very well trained. But that is intangible heritage, where you have to teach people to do their job in 3 languages in 1 class. Relationship with local community, relationship with industry. Basically, if you look at hardware, many of us have steam pumps. So steam engine is a very important railway coaches, other types of rolling stock. You can also have railway racks. Railway architecture, which I am fond of. I am fond of because I went to China for the CSP. Railway bridges are very, very unique. And each bridge, some of the bigger bridges, are really masterpieces of engineering for the time in which they were built. Next, coming to the DHR, historical, this is the 1881 map of the area. And the bottom is Calcutta, right on top is Darjeeling. The original route to Darjeeling was by the East Indian Railway route on the Saikas. You crossed the river and then you went by Palki on Bullock cart up to this is up to 1878. When a Beetagate line was opened, and this is something but a Beetagate line was opened from Calcutta to the Ganges. Also, broad gauge from Calcutta to the Ganges at Sara, and a Beetagate line from Sara to Siliguri via portions of the line which are now eastern. The crisis came when partition took place because the Sara line went back to East Bengal. So you again went by the local route, your test got very hard, and then went to cross the river and you went to Madihani Ghat, and from there to the village. It was quite a posture between countries. It is only very difficult to remember. It is only when the Karakta Barrage things were constructed that we can talk of the Darjeeling Mail coming overnight in the city. So that's the history which you should know of changing your impact. Next. I mean, this is the charming architecture, the appreciate architecture, and I'm so happy that this tea garden is replicating the old station of Darjeeling. It was somewhat this time with gables, it had very beautiful dormers, and he is the young architect who is lighting everyone. machine, and we have discussed, what is diamond shaped window and so on. Next. Similarly, you have this job station or super. And that's the law work and administrative and corporate that. But it is a very beautiful viewing. Now, again, this is a subject for steel bus. We are today talking about the standard class Indian on the right. What you see on the left is a class A engine, which was inducted in class 3 was inducted in 1889. Before that, you had a few engines in the class A. The difference was in the diameter of the cylinder. The difference was in the span of the wheels. Which was different from in the case of the A class was increased in the case of the B class. And because the cylinder diameter was increased, it became a more powerful locomotive and was standard. There were carrot locomotives. But that it was run on the DHR. There was a specific locomotive 49 ton, which was run on the train. So there were several types of locomotives, several manufacturers with band and we need to observe. These are the original coaches, I would urge DHR to replicate what was missing. Many people, when the conventional coach came in, said we prefer this type of coach because we do work better and because probably the poor mountain breeze. So this is the type of thing we totally cost. But if somebody can make it, this is the type of coach that conventional coach that we do. Somebody was asking about 1920 model coach. So this is a particular program which I got from Switzerland, from a missionary organization in Switzerland, showing you the wooden body coach. And what is very interesting, this there is in 1920, Siliguri written in Bengal, even like that. The one which we have wonderful. It's wonderful. This is what is designed. We need to these are the type of wagons like the engineer is asking why is this unique? Why are three lines unique? Is the innovation in engineering. Firstly, we have the goods. We still have three goods. We have the exact, the original and this is my last slide. The UNESCO inscription which said the first and the state report of 28 passenger railway opened in 1881. Its design applies gold and establishing engineering solutions to the problem of establishing an effective railway across mountainous terrain of great beauty. This still remains, and I would like all those involved to try and maintain this railway. Very chance. All the maintain, and I think even the launch at international level, we can decide on what commercial evaluation. We plan to be project. I think the railway must continue. The length of the state run possibly should increase. What Mr. Mead said. I think the secret lies in improving development of our field plans. I was also part to compliment NF Railway because during the last 2 years there have not been of the line for region. I have been seeing developments and there has been a positive improvement in the maintenance of expression. which is really good. And we work under tremendous constraints. I wish you all the best in overcoming those constraints and wish India all the best. Thank you.
Before we have the next speaker, we have a small change. I would ask Joydeep to inform the change, but what I am here is to say this, that the people from the tea gardens, ladies of the tea gardens, have ready a Sandar tribal dance for you just after it's over. So now we'll have two small short talks and then we'll enjoy the dance and then go for dinner. I just wanted to inform you, please do stay back and see what they have churned out for us with a great welcome.
So I have never met Colonel S.K. Choudhury in person, but I came to know him in a bizarre fashion when one of our members got caught up with RPA when he was trying to photograph. And through Shubham Sumani, who is also a member, and through Srinivas, we could reach him. He was in a meeting, but he was very kind to get him released. And I think that also joined him to the railway enthusiasts at Mead. Please understand, I am also telling people who love the railway that you cannot enjoy the railway if the railway officers and the railway staff that will stand with you. So we should give a big clap to the railway officers and the railway staff for actually enabling us to be railway enthusiasts. Colonel Choudhury is a mechanical engineer, currently the chief rolling stock engineer of the NF Railway. I'm happy that he still remains in NF Railway. He was the ex-DRM, just before this he was the DRM of Katiyar. Had major plans, you can see all these nice restaurants outside, the coach restaurants. He is responsible. Those who have benefited or enjoyed the visited on coaches, tourist train, and also the visited on coach in the Shatabdi Express, it goes to him. He also made enthusiasts celebrate the 10th birthday of Shatabdi Express, which, thank you, sir, it's not so easy to do such things. So I would like him to come and say what he has done with DHR and what are his visions of the future. Welcome.
Hello, am I audible? We are coming to the far end of the program, and you all are tired of listening to all the talks, such witty discussion. So I am in a very unenviable position of drawing your attention towards the end of this program. So I will just start by asking you, how many of you think that DHR is actually making loss? Please raise your hands. How many of you are thinking that DHR is making loss? 2023-24, DHR will end up in loss. How many of you think? Please raise your hands. Very few. Most of the people are thinking that DHR will end up in profit. Is it so, sir? You are all right. I'm happy to inform you that DHR is actually going to make operating profit in 2023-24. DHR already made operating profit in the first quarter of 2022-23. marginal operating profit, and 23-24 it has made a very substantial operating profit of more than 2 crore, I think. Huh? That is the income profit. 2.5 crore profit is the first quarter of 2023-24. So the good news is, from 2023-24 onwards, we are not going to depend on the handout of Government of India for the survival of DHR. We are not going to depend on the goodwill of politicians, bureaucrats, railway board for our survival. We are standing on our own feet. Thank you very much for inviting me to this August gathering with so many of my seniors in the audience. I am really overwhelmed. You are all my like people I have worshipped all my life. You are all here, including Sri Sanjay Mukherjee, Sri Bhavinu Mathur, Sri Jay Singh, Sri Atulya Sinha. And I really feel honored. Operating profit of DHR is not a rocket science. It is very, very simple. I'll just take very small 2-3 minutes because I've been asked to be brief. I'll be brief. We spend about 25 crores every year. And to earn 25 crores, we have to simply ferry 200,000 passengers in our trains. In 2019, before COVID, 1 million tourists went to Darjeeling, and we could get around 100,000 tourists. It was the best year till then. 2019 was the best year till then. We had an income of 10 crores, we had an expenditure of 25 crores, we had a loss of 15 crores. Mr. Arvind Misra, the director, was asked to make a business plan by the then General Manager, and when I joined in August 2021, I was told that you look into this business plan and DHR has to turn around in next 2 years' time. Otherwise, it will be closed. So Mr. Misra made a plan, and they're sitting, we just look at the plan. He said, we are only carrying 10% of the tourists. How difficult it is to make it 20%? It is not that difficult. If we carry 200,000 passengers, our income will become 20 crores, and we will do some non-fare revenue. We will cut down the expenditure a little bit, and it will be profit. Simple. So how to do that? First of all, we didn't have the seats. Total number of services we are running was totally coming. Everything was totally. It was coming only 150,000 per annum. That too, this business is very seasonal. April, May, June is the peak. October, November, December is semi-peak. Remaining 5 months is down. So how do we put 200,000 passengers? First of all, we have to increase the number of seats offering to the passengers. So we have increased the number of services in Joyride as well as in the main train between NJP to Darjeeling. I think all of you know that Joyrides contribute to 80% of the income and only 20% to the expenditure. Whereas the train from NJP to Darjeeling contributes to 80% of the expenditure and only 20% of the revenue. This is the economics. DHR in past had a it actually fulfilled the requirement of transporting goods and passengers from point A to point B. When it started in say 1980, it was essential to transport passenger and goods from the plain to the hills. Today, it is no longer the case. If we are thinking that we will satisfy the basic transportation need, we are living in a coal paradise. Roads have completely taken over, and they are doing it faster, they are doing it more economically. And if you think that we will run it with a commuter service, it is absolute wrong thinking. DHR has rightly transformed itself into a tourist railway for its own survival. Today it is run only for tourists. If we run for commuter, we will not be able to run, and the per capita cost that will come will be very, very high. So, for the necessity, we have to run it as a tourist railway, and we have to somehow attract the tourists to sit in our trains. We have to increase the capacity, and we have to do marketing so that in the mean season, our trains are full. The first time whoever is coming to Darjeeling is definitely riding in our trains. People from Bombay, people from Kerala, people from South India, they never miss a chance to ride the train. But we have to also convert the persons who are coming from Calcutta or Siliguri or nearby Gulma, who have already booked the train once, we have to convert them to second ride, or third ride. So here comes the marketing. First of all, we have to increase number of seats. Second of all, we have to do enough marketing. And last but not the least, we have to give them a good experience. If the passenger comes in and takes a ride, then he says that I have paid 1,000 rupees. It is not worth it. Today's it's a social media era. He will put it in YouTube, he will put it in Facebook. He will discourage others from riding the trains. So we have to give a good experience to the passengers. That is where we have to give clean toilets, we have to give good catering, good living stations. Why do people come to Darjeeling? Simple, to have a good time. No one is coming to Darjeeling for let us say business or say heritage. Mr. Atkins will be very easy with me. But the fact is, people come to Darjeeling for having a good time. Glenaries never has a lean season. Glenaries has peak season throughout the year. Why? It is able to give good time to the tourists. The day DHR can become something like Glenaries, we will never be in loss. We will always be in profit. So that is SDRM. I did my bit. Probably I took one small step. I have my successors. Israji is out now. Priyansu is there. Sundar is there. And you know, next generation is always smarter than the previous generation. I'm sure the smart people in DHR will take it forward, and the blueprint is there, the business plan is there. It is all coming together. 2023-24 is going to be profit. And we have also taken care of the heritage to the greatest degree. How many of you know that it is the only railway in the world which runs a steam service every day, 365 days a year? How many of you know? In all other places, the steam is maintained. It is taken out 7 days a year. Somewhere it is taken out once a year on special occasions. But this is the only railway we run steam service 365 days a year. We are taking the steam locomotive, we are taking the train to the highest point. It is 7,546. 7,400 feet we are taking the locomotive, our place. I think this is the highest in the world. And another unique thing, this is the only hill railway, it's the only heritage railway which is financially viable. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Now we come to our last talk, which has to be delivered by Paul Atkins from the DHRS. So he was very passionate today in the railway state about this UNESCO World Heritage issue. Just yesterday I was discussing with you young enthusiasts. So there are dreams. There are people have dreamed of third-rate electrification tips. To run commuter service, you need electrified trains. So you have third-rate electrification. And they didn't coexist. If you keep it at the current standard, you have to have high-rise panels. So maybe third-rate electrification is better. So this railways always create dreams, and that's what's important. That we need to dream. And I'm sure you tell us what to dream about. Hello. Not working.
Well, thank you to Ray Society for inviting me here, and thank you also to the Gulma Junction Tea Estate for hosting this event. For me, this is an anniversary because I first came to India and the DHR 40 years ago in September '83. When there was a lot more steam locales all around India, which is what my friend and I tried to find. In those days, there was nothing on the internet. You just had to ask people who had been before to give you notes on what was going to see. I was then telephoned one afternoon in 1985 by Sheriff Tendor, who's unfortunately no longer with us, who owned the Windermere Hotel in Darjeeling. And he had heard that Indian Railways were about to shut DHR for being an unprofitable branch line. And he had got together a group of people in Darjeeling to persuade the railway board not to close it. He, with his own expense, organised 3 railway conferences, 2 in Delhi and 1 in Birmingham, UK. And in order to demonstrate how a railway like DHR, which at the time was narrow gauge, very old-fashioned, but had almost no tourist traffic. The tourist traffic was travelling up the hill as a means of transport. The conferences led the railway board and the government of India to apply to UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in order to prevent the closure. And it was successful in 1999, December, when an agreement was reached that the line could be a World Heritage Site on certain conditions. And that has been a difficulty ever since, because it is defined to some extent, but not in the details to what is required. It is stated that conservation of heritage, which is not necessarily the same as preservation of heritage, overrides any commercial practice. The point of any World Heritage Site is that it brings in money to the community and therefore develops the economy of the area it serves. The what should I say? The requirements of the heritage site are as much to do with cultural events and links to the local communities as they are to the physical heritage of the railway. And ever since, it's been a discussion between various parts of Indian Railways and UNESCO as to what that actually means. Certainly, in the beginning of 2002, there was a conference at Gulma where a lot of local stakeholders, be it tea gardens, representatives of local communities, as well as the railways, came together to try and define how that should be. The railways agreed that an empowered, standalone, cost-sector organisation, and people were sent away to put that into a definable system. Unfortunately, both 2007, 2013, and 2019, the condition of the heritage was so poor that UNESCO threatened Indian Railways, or rather the government of India, with being put on the World Heritage Site in danger. The first time in 2007 was when Indian Railways agreed to have a separate director for DHR, who initially had a great deal of powers, which have never been rescinded, but these days are no longer in force. The second occasion in 2013 led to the Comprehensive Conservation Management Plan being developed. And that is also a very good gauge, because the contract was written by Indian Railways as to what it wanted to see as the relationship between the railways, the local communities, and UNESCO. And what is happening now, I have to say, it's all very well saying we've made huge profits. The heritage has to a large extent been destroyed. Not just physical heritage, but when somebody comes in, and it doesn't matter how good the renovation of Kurseong Station is, but the contract with that person running the restaurant has nothing in it about World Heritage or the fact that any railway has to pass their concerns for World Heritage onto any subcontractors, and that is there. You look at Darjeeling Station, it's been tidied up. It doesn't look anything like it used to do. It looks like a cheap hotel, but it is on the point of collapsing because it's undermined. So money was spent on renovations, which should have been done with shoring up the actual works. In 2018, I went to see the then chairman of the railway board, Mr. Lahani, because I was very concerned about DHR not being safe. And in fact, it is no safer now than it was then. The locos do not have a proper boiler inspection. The locos have a reasonable overhaul at POH every 4 years, and a 10-day and a 30-day inspection. They do not have a 6-month inspection. They do not have a 12-month inspection, and they get worse, worse, worse until they're due for another POH 4 years later. And there are not enough men to do the job. The job has been defined, there is a manual, but it's impossible to do it because there are not enough staff. The numbers of staff are going down all the time because one of the requirements of the World Heritage Site, tangible, is the skills of the people who run it. And those skills are about to disappear because young people have not been taken on. There's various ways of getting around this, and Ms. Mukherjee's speech actually hinted at quite a few of the many solutions that are possible. But we need to be very careful in saying we made a load of money last year, but we're not worried about destroying heritage, and we're not worried about the railway becoming unsafe. And that is a concern of UNESCO, and it's a concern of why the railway would still well be put on the World Heritage Site list in danger, or even removed as World Heritage Site. If you want commercialism, fine. But if you destroy the heritage, it's not the World Heritage Site. Thank you.
Well, I think this draws curtains, and I would like to thank everybody here for being so patient in a rather sultry atmosphere. But I suppose the passion for the DHR we love and team that we equally love has carried us to it. Now I request all the guests to please come in front where there is a small dance recital, tribal dance, and then join us for dinner. Thank you. Please.
I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oops.
If they ought to have tribal dance and dinner.
Right, yeah,
There we are.
right, oh,
What, did she say anything?